We are in our final session. That's why I'm finding my second win. And we're going to have an opportunity to learn more about our modern media makers who've been running around and doing all sorts of things for the past couple of days. And to introduce us to that entire experience are the Emilys, Emily Balin and Emily Bonilla.
NAMLE does something a little different than other youth conferences, media conferences, is that while we're talking about media literacy and specifically youth, we actually really believe in that it's so important to actually have a dialogue with youth at this conference. So for the past, I would say 4 conferences, NAMLE has brought in youth wherever the conference is held, and this year we were lucky to have about 25 students from the Philadelphia, Allentown, and Chicago area. We started on Thursday, where we spent the day exploring our theme of this conference, talking about media literacy. Yesterday, we were shooting these projects. I would like to say that many of these students never picked up a camera before, have never edited before. Some are pros, but they also never worked with each other before. So in just 3 days, we were able to not only learn and talk about media literacy, but also create, and that's pretty amazing. And I'm just going to pass this on to Emily.
Thank you. So we are going to bring everybody up here. We wanted the young people to introduce their own work, so they'll come up in a second. So they're really excited to present today, and we'll hopefully have a few minutes at the end to offer it open conversation and just kind of ask what you all notice and what you're taking away from their pieces. Very quickly, we just wanted to recognize our other support in the room that we had, our other co-facilitators, Laura Gomez-Mesquita, Max Farringer, Merchant, I did practice, from Free Spirit Media in Chicago, Lucy Eagleson from Outside the Lens, Juma Innes, who had to head back to Boston, but he runs a program called The Message, and our other support from Doug Herman from Rough Cut Schools and Science Leadership Academy, and Jenna Azar from HYPE in the Lehigh Valley area. Yeah, please.
Hey everybody. My name is Tiana, FYI. Access is easier now than ever. We wanted to know how people access information before social media and the internet. We walked around the conference asking people, how did you use media as a teenager to access information about global media? We got a plethora of unique answers. After visitors answered our central question, we wanted to know if they were aware of the bias and stereotype present at the time. Sorry, I'm kind of nervous. Great. Thank you. Wait, I'm not done. We split up into 2 subgroups, Kaya and I interviewing and filming, Kaya, and Oliver and Kadarius editing, and we hope you guys enjoy. That's it.
originally from New Jersey, Plainfield, New Jersey. So
Lived in Chicago and Iowa.
From Ottawa, Canada.
Los Angeles, where I was from, the punk community, we produce our own media, and we actually network with each other as a way of generating our own information.
when I was a teenager, I was not really thinking about getting information about the global community too much. So
I was too in my head as a kid. I wasn't even educated that much. I was just like being a regular teenager.
I think when I was a teenager, I wasn't that aware of being part of a global community. I was more focused on the social world in my immediate community, of my high school and my family and maybe extended family.
news programs, watching the network news once in a while with my parents. I didn't do that much on my own. I listened to the radio a lot, mainly for music. So music channels sometimes might have a little news clip, and I'd hear that a little bit.
I guess my earliest recollection is just watching the news.
Even surrounded
YouTube
by
came out like for the first time, and that was I think a time for me to like kind of explore different places.
That's
I think
true.
TV
Or even
was the first
TV,
source.
yeah.
To newspapers and TV news, magazines, in terms of mainstream media. So
My information about the world that I was looking for came from comic books, came from listening to records, LP rec albums, or 45, something like that, watching TV.
that influenced me was The Clash. And The Clash was interesting because they spent time in Jamaica, and they played reggae, they also played punk.
There was what we called the Kent State Massacre, where college students were killed by the National Guard.
Where I was in the hardcore scene was very multicultural.
8th grade, the Berlin Wall came down, so that was a big one.
And protesting the war. And that's the first time that it became personal for me, because it was so close to where I lived, and seeing the news coverage of that, which tied back to global events.
7 in a Kmart with my dad when you would walk into a room and that's when you would buy the TVs. And all the TVs, again, 1977, they all announced that Elvis had died.
Elvis Presley died today. He was 42. Apparently it was a heart attack.
As a teenager, it was before that, I was a little bit younger, that made me feel connected to the rest of the world, and that was watching the moon landing.
Ladies and gentlemen, rock and roll.
At that point, somehow I knew that there were people all over the world watching this moment at the same time I was watching this moment.
Yes, I have an iPhone.
I do.
Do you own a smartphone?
I do. My email, Google.
Media. Like Gmail, like Facebook, Instagram.
First thing I do during the day is to check my message, my email message when I wake up.
Okay.
Facebook.
What's MySpace?
Some sort of social media, whether it's Snapchat, Instagram.
Probably Instagram.
Yeah, I think for me it's Snapchat most likely.
I have 5,000 friends, 1,000 followers. So it's smart just to constantly continue my fan base and, and to give people what they want.
Because I like Facebook.
get to share stuff, like stuff, and you got your family, your friends.
TV.
Yes. I think I get more news from more sources on the social media that I use versus watching like the 5 o'clock news or CNN.
I don't really watch the news on TV. I usually just like get on Twitter to figure out what's going on, or hop on Instagram and see like what hashtags are on there.
I really like watching the news. I watch it often, but it's on at like early in the morning. I don't always feel like leaving my room to go turn on the TV.
If I mess this up, you're gonna edit it out?
Oh.
No.
For me, it's a group of skills that involves how to read media message, how to interpret media message, and for me more important, to produce your own communication, produce your own content and publish it.
And have the tools to kind of think more critically about the text that they're engaging with. Yeah, I think it's really important, and just for how much pop culture we're exposed to and how much we engage with that, I think it's important to be asking questions of it.
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
Media is very helpful for communities. It can help bring problems in a community to light, and as well as bringing our attention to problems, it can also help us find solutions through the access of information that it provides us. So we had this in the back of our minds when we decided to do this project. And we went outside and also to various individuals within this building itself and questioned them very simply about issues that they find in their community, what they think about the community in general, and as well as that, how they think media can be used to benefit the community or help solve the issues that they experience. And yeah, we did that, and I hope you like it. Bye.
And I'll say this group never touched a camera or edited
oh yeah,
ever
we never
before.
touched a camera before, never.
When I think about Philadelphia as a whole, I love Philadelphia. It's a diverse community with people from all walks of life. I work in Center City for years.
Well, you know, to be honest, I'm new to this community, right? So I've never been here before, but everybody that I've met has been very welcoming, pleasant, and polite.
One of the biggest things that surprised me when I moved to Philadelphia was how much of a small town it felt like.
Which, you know, as somebody from kind of a very rural community, we tend to think superficially like city people sometimes aren't the most pleasant, but I find that to be exactly opposite here.
Neighborhoods were really community oriented, everybody knew each other, it was very much like a small town.
Our community is lovely. I do worry about our whole country. We read all the bad things in the paper, we don't read the good things in the paper.
We use all sorts of different media to convey messages of all types.
I was more concerned about education, services for kids and children, and then more social services for people in need.
So what might work for one person or one community won't work for another person or a different community.
I think schools is one place that I would invest a lot more time and energy.
When you look at how education has always been in the past, it's always been a teacher in front of a classroom teaching something to a whole room of people. I struggled to read until I was like 12. I started playing like video games. I learned to read and I learned to type. Once I discovered this, I quickly progressed academically as well.
So that was our youth videos that were produced in 24 hours. not even, I would say 8 hours. All coming from different places, coming together to learn how to collaborate, communicate, and create. Any questions or comments?
Can we
Thoughts?
bring the rest of M3 back up?
Yeah.
Guys, thanks. M3. Oh. What, are you changing the name?
No, because we thought you were saying
I know.
free.
I know.
From the heart.
Okay.
Take a mic, please.
What this means to me actually mean a lot because I actually learned a lot. See, with me, I'm horrible at editing, and I actually got the experience to learn from my two editors here, how to like set everything up, and it was interesting actually. I really enjoyed it. Plus, I got to meet these great people. They're real sweet and nice, and I guess to me this was just a great opportunity, and I hope to do more of this. So, yay!
Okay. I liked being here because yeah, just the people, the atmosphere. When we started the process, it was kind of, frustrating, and then we finally got like a solid idea, and we were going to, just jump right into it. But then interviewing, everybody's like, no, I'm okay. Like some people thought we were trying to sell them stuff, and we're like, no, we just want to ask you a couple of questions. They're like, no, I'm fine. But no, so yeah, it was really good. And then after we got all of our, people's interviews, it was really exciting. And then came time for editing, and then we had to edit, and I never edited before. And I was like, oh, are you sure you don't want to do this part? And so it was, but no, the editing was fun, and we really liked the way it came together. And I really enjoyed the program because we had a lot of like deep conversations that I think most of us thought we wouldn't be able to go into. And we were talking about kind of how like our definitions of like media literacy, and then we were talking about how social media has to do with culture today and how our culture is like so diverse, and even if you don't have a smartphone or any smart objects, you can get information from like media or the internet by like people around you. So we thought that was really cool and to talk about.
Kind of the opposite of Javon. Thinking about the question was the easy part for me. What was hard for me and really frustrating were the interviews. And I'm the type of person, if I'm not really good at it when I start it, I want to do things right, so I just rather not do it. So yesterday was very frustrating because it was my first time filming, and I didn't really do it right. And to see it and it not look the way it should was really frustrating. And to also not be as involved in the editing process as I would like to be was just really frustrating. But today I actually enjoyed myself a lot, looking at the final project, talking to some of you guys. It was really fun, and it was definitely a good lesson for me.
For me, it was kind of interesting because when I walked in, I saw tons of adults and teachers and whatnot. And normally, when I think of adults, I'm like, they don't really care what I think about social media and all of that kind of stuff. Like, they're always telling me to put my phone away in the classroom and whatnot. And it's kind of like, no, seriously. It was like, because I always have my phone and I'm always on it, but that's another topic for another day. But it was really interesting to see all of these people who are way older than me, who, not saying that anyone's old, but just saying older than me. Just want to clear that up because we had a lot of discussion about old, about how interested you guys were into what I thought about media literacy, but then wanting to educate yourselves about media literacy more, because I find that like a lot of my grandparents and my parents and stuff, they're scared of knowing about like new stuff, and to see that there are adults who are out there who want to learn and want to teach other people about it, I think is really awesome, because those are the people who are teaching me stuff, and I want those people to be able to teach me what you guys are trying to do.
We can take one more question. That was the first hand that I saw. Use a mic. Do you want to go?
How about people that didn't answer the last?
Yeah.
Right. So what was the question again? Can you?
Well, you go, Franklin. I'm looking forward for a career in filmmaking, whichever field. I just adore film in itself, and I would say that if I do get the privilege of making another film in the future, I would definitely love to entertain, but at the same time cause individuals to think and to contemplate on their own reality and on the situation of others. And I would definitely love to portray, in a sense, the voices of those who are unheard, usually. Like, there are many people who just go through their daily commute in life and they get so stereotyped, or they're just, people like visualize them to be just very generic individuals, or you see someone who's homeless down the street, you don't know what story they had, or you see people who are very successful but yet don't know exactly what goes on at home or what goes on in their closet. And definitely to portray the inward aspect of a person's personal life would be amazing. So yeah, I want to make action movies, in other words, yeah.
Is that it? Unless we have one more part. I don't know. Somebody else want to share? Somebody else? Sure. Only if you haven't gone already. Only if you haven't gone. Yeah. Go quick.
All right. I want to make a movie about the story. I want to make something behind the scenes that nobody think about, like little kids on a basketball court, like kids playing football. I want to know. I want to hear about their dreams and what they want to do besides staying inside their city and being like getting arrested or doing bad stuff. I want to know what they want to do outside the city, what their dreams are.
I just want to say, because I know we're on our way to kind of get to where we need to get to, but there were so many comments that were made about connecting, and I'm going to encourage you, please stay connected, even though, and I hear all the discussion about doing this every year and doing regional conferences and so forth, and this really is kind of gets together toward how we build the type of infrastructure for our organization to not only keep up with what is happening in the field, but to stay so far ahead of it. And it's happening so quickly that we're really going to need everybody, not just in this room, but those who've already kind of flown off, to kind of figure out how we're going to be able to do this going forward. It's not just a great executive director or a great board. It's really all of you, this media literacy community that has been growing and continues to grow. So we really look forward to not only engaging you, but please stay engaged with us. So wherever you go, as you're starting to move forward, we appreciate your ideas, your suggestions, but we need your engagement and your involvement. Please stay safe, be safe to wherever you're going, but please continue to tell the NAMLE story as you find yourself in different places. Thank you so much for all you've done. So thank you. Safe journeys.